Hello everyone and welcome to SkillCapped. I'm Notorious Dub and today I'm going to be telling you everything you need to know about playing Viper on Split. Now Split is an extremely defense-sided map which is being countered by a ton of teams opting for double flashers or a breach, creating a strong attacking team to try and equalize the sides and give them a chance on the attacker's side. And because of that, we're seeing a lot of top level players start to pick the Viper back up on Split to lock down the defender's side better than any other agent can, while still having great post-plan ability on attacker's side and decent controller pressure all throughout the map. And mastering Viper on Split is the best way to those huge 10-2 and 9-3 halves that can set you up for big wins and huge rank rating games by being an absolute lockdown on defense and a very strong post planner on attack. But as always, before we get too deep into the video, we have to start with our question of the day. And today I want to know, what do you guys think about Viper right now? She's getting a ton of attention in pro play and in my ranked games, but as a Viper main, it still feels tough to coordinate plants effectively and coordinate those post plants properly. Most of the time it kind of feels like I'm just crossing my fingers hoping my team can delay enough for my post plant lineups to be enough to win the round, and I'm just making sure to stay alive on the site so I can make use of my post plan anyway. Then again, whenever it works, it really works, and it seems so oppressive that it feels like there's nothing the other team can do about it. So it feels like she's a really strong agent that people just don't know how to play around, and I don't know if it'll be fixed, but I'm sure you guys have a ton of different opinions than me on this, which is exactly why I want to hear from you. So let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think about Viper in the meta right now? Alright, so let's get started with the best one-ways that you're going to be throwing on Split, because the one-ways are essentially going to be your defensive setups, and you'll want to use your wall to then execute the retakes and isolate areas of the site, that way you have it available. And to start with, we have a very simple one-way for A main where you back yourself up into the corner of the pillar on site and aim at the top left corner of the wall to the right of the A main entrance. Aim just far enough left for your orb to not hit the wall, and the orb will land perfectly in the crevice below with a simple left click. And what's great about this one way is that it doesn't block the enemy's full vision, so they still want to peek the angle, but it blocks them completely from seeing you if you're playing Hell, and they can only barely see you if you're playing Flower Pot, and if they manage to get that perfect angle when they're crouching. But keep in mind, if you do plan to play somewhere other than Hell or Flower Pot, you're going to want to just throw a typical smoke that lands deep in the entrance to A main, so you can hold the smoke and pick up the kills on the enemies that are now extremely damaged if they decide to walk through it and walk out of it. And next we have the one way for B site, and this is one of the strongest one ways on the map. And before the round starts, you want to position yourself in front of the B main entrance, right in the crack to the right side of the first small tile that's closest to you, and from there aim up to the farthest light fixture in the tunnel in the middle of the brown piece on the end. From there, just drag your cursor down a little bit to be in between the two wires that hang down just below it. Then you can just left click and you'll have a perfect one way that completely blocks off line of sight for the attackers until they get extremely deep into the peak, or drop all the way back to the wall and crouch down underneath it. And finally, we have to talk about the one ways for whenever you want to play in heaven of the bomb sites, starting with B heaven because it's the most common area for enemies to push. So for this one way, line yourself up against the wall on the left of the threshold and scoot forward to the edge of the trim on the bottom. From there, just aim up to get in line with the bottom edge of the middle piece of the light fixture and bounce it off of the middle square to have it land perfectly on top of the threshold. This one way gives you info and view into the feet of everyone walking up to mid, and giving them no view on where you could be if they do decide to walk up, even if they try to crouch underneath it. And then we have the A site heaven one way. It's another super contested area of the map, and a lot of times that ramp's push is very difficult to hold. So this one way is designed to counter that. And for this one, just post yourself on the piece of duct tape across the ground outside of the threshold of the entrance, and aim directly ahead of you at the bottom of the blue light strip, and with a jumping right click, you have a perfect one way that lands right above the door, causing the enemies to be able to see nothing on the front side of heaven where you would be playing. But with that lower level that's inside of heaven, you can see pretty much their entire body and easily mow them down as they come through. And another great thing about this one way is that they won't actually know it's there until they peek it, which usually results in at least one free kill per game before they realize you're one-waying that. But remember, if you're serious about improving, then go to SkillCapped.com to unlock our hyper improvement system that will teach you how to win more gunfights, master your agent, and so much more. It's also backed by our rank improvement guarantee, so you really have nothing to lose. So come join over 500,000 satisfied members of SkillCapped, improve that KDA, and get the rank you've always wanted at SkillCapped.com. Link is in the description below. And those one ways are going to be your go-tos for defending on Split, but attacking is a lot more difficult for most people, so let's go over the basic executes that you're going to be throwing to be as useful as possible for helping your team get on site. Now, for a site, your wall and poison cloud are both crucial, and to throw your wall, you want to stand on the first light closest to you just before you make the turn into a lobby, and aim just to the right of the triangle in front of you. This is just the perfect setup to get it right on that edge, but with this, use your mini map to make it a little easier for yourself. Make sure you're using that little cursor at the very top, that blue line that comes off of you, to make sure you're throwing a straight line all the way through the top of raptors. After that, just walk on over to the flower pot and tuck yourself right in the corner. Aim where the first white line meets the tall building and go directly up 3 lines from there. And with a very forgiving jump throw here, you now have a wall that covers ramp all the way through to rafters, and you have your poison orb set up to cover the entire CT entrance from screens and elbow. And this is the perfect setup for both taking the site and holding down the post plant. But let's move on to B site. And with this, walk up to the traffic cone in the back of the junk pile and throw your curtain right at the edge of the wall in front of you. And you can use your mini map to make sure once again that you're throwing your wall right on the back side of the pillar all the way through to CT. And then with your poison orb in hand, walk up behind the sheet metal on the front of the junk pile and tuck yourself into the corner beside that protruding box. Turn around and aim at the section of the roof right above the second sign over the threshold and throw your poison orb directly at that lip of the section. With that poison screen poison orb, you now have a great smoke that covers the entirety of heaven and that initial rafters peak, and they'll be so low HP by the time they peek out of that smoke that they'll be easy to kill anyway. And you have a wall that completely takes care of back sight, CT, and hell all at the same time. But keep in mind, with this setup, you're not getting control of that deep part of the site, so isolate your angles and play with your team to peek for control after if you have a lot of people alive and you need that space. And then we have the 2 poison orbs that you're going to want to throw if you're trying to take mid control and you're the only controller on the team. So first of all, we have the vent smoke. And you're going to be throwing this one whenever you want to make a play on B heaven. So for this, simply walk anywhere past the initial corner of market and aim up at the bottom of the roof of the big pink building and throw your smoke just to the right of the building just so you don't hit the wall. With that left click lends a nice deep smoke that sections off vents perfectly and gives you plenty of room to hold the walkout and push for control of B heaven. And coming from the other side to smoke B heaven when you want to make a vents to A heaven play, walk up until you get to the metal drain in the floor coming out of sewer and aim right towards the middle of the big circle with a B on top of it. And right there, you're going to want to aim just a little bit below the middle of the top box. And then you just want to jump so you can get the poison cloud over that box initially, and your throw will bounce it off the wall from a very safe position, allowing you to get the smoke down without having to actually peek that angle first. And not to mention, you can smoke off those operator players playing from that angle or defenders that are playing that angle before they can actually go for the pick. But finally, we have the thing that makes VIPER so viable in the meta right now. Let's talk about her post plant lineup. So for A side, your only real option for post plant is backing up into A main because everywhere else is going to be too heavily contested, and you want to make sure you're staying safe for at least the first 20 seconds of the post plant. That way you can guarantee the round after that with your utility. So for the default plant behind billboard, you want to stand right behind the flower pot, aim in line with the big light on top of the building in the distance, and drag your crosshair over until it almost touches the roof next to you. A left click there sends the snake bite flying, and keep in mind it does have a very long travel time with this type of lineup, so make sure to try and throw it a little bit earlier, but whenever it lands, it does create a perfect pool surrounding the plant location and a huge portion of back sight. And the only other super common plant location here is going to be the default behind the pillar, and for this one you actually come to the exact same spot to make it a little easier for you. Here you want to look right at the gap in between the buildings right in front of you, just above that billboard, and aim your snake bite right in the center of that gap, in line with the top corner of the roof that's slightly sticking out. And a simple left click here is going to bounce the snake bite off the back wall and cover the entire defuse location all the way back to the back elbow entrance. And finally, we have the B side, where there's not really many great places to work with for post plant lineups, and a common one that you're going to want to use is to fight with your team and fall back into garage somewhat safely whenever the round starts to get late, and you want to sit behind the box that's tucked in off to the left until the bomb gets tapped. From there, just stay crouched and jump so you have very little time to actually get shot while you're in the air, and you can throw your snake bite directly at the bomb in the open, or just bounce it off the wall to cover the default plant location. But to be even safer, and for those rounds where there are still a ton of people alive and it gets a little too hectic on both teams, fall all the way back to the entrance to market. Here you want to just put yourself on top of the caution cone by the box outside of market and aim right in the middle of that small green sign that sticks out, and just to the right enough where you can clear that tall building that's right behind it. And a left click here will thread the needle and bounce a snake bite off that back wall and land perfectly on the default safe plant location on B site. And with these lineups and how hard Split actually is to retake bomb site, gunfight, just rushing to get a plant down and actually managing to do that is going to be huge for boosting your win percentage because you're going to be able to close out those rounds. But remember, if you want to improve, win more gunfights, and get the rank you've always wanted, then check out SkillCapped.com. Link is in the description below. But what do you guys think about VIPER on Split? Let me know in the comments down below. And while you're down there, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn those notification bells on, because we here at SkillCapped have a ton more comprehensive premium guides coming your way that you're going to want to stay up to date with so you can stay ahead of the pack. But as always, I want to thank you for spending this little bit of your day with us, and I'm Notorious Dub, signing off.